people? Pastor Ramsey here.
And First Lady Alicia Ramsey.
And as you can see, we are in a different location today. We told you we were changing some things up. We are in another city, and we have incredible guests. Our Bishop Brown, and Dr. Val will be in the house with us today for the family room. So we're excited that you're here. Make sure that you start sharing even now so you can get your friends to just chime in with us. We're going to have a good time today.
And we are in a professional studio.
We are in a series. This is not like our studio in our house.
Hooked us up.
This is like CNN. I was looking for Anderson Cooper to come through here somewhere.
Yes. And we need you to make sure you share, invite somebody to be a part of the conversation. This is the family room, and we want you to still put your comments and let us know what it is you want to learn today. The family room has been an amazing opportunity for us to invite you into our home, but today we're inviting you into the Mount.
To the Mount. We are in Virginia.
Yes.
And this is going to be an incredible time. Let us introduce our guests. Well, really, we're your guests.
So we can let them introduce themselves.
Yes, please do.
I'm Bishop Kim Brown. Man, welcome to Chesapeake, by the way.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure to hang out with you all. And this is my wife of 32 years.
The pressure's on.
That's right.
The pressure's on.
That's not right?
Well, June.
June will be 33.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. You were looking at me like I got it wrong.
She had that sister girl up.
32 years, the good elder Valerie K. Brown.
Awesome.
Yep.
Elder?
I'm elder.
She does. And she does a little bit of everything. Tell us a little bit about what you do, because we know it just covers a lot of ground.
Right. I guess the official title is executive pastor, but I know so many people have different definitions when they hear that title. But basically, it means I do everything he doesn't want to do here at the ministry.
That's it.
He takes care basically of all the ecclesiastical stuff, all the ministers and things like that. But all the administrative, human resource, backroom stuff, I take care of. So.
Awesome. That is
She
awesome.
takes care of all the stuff I don't want to.
That's correct. That's correct. Yep.
But that's why you have worked so well together.
That is true.
In
that
ministry.
is true. I think, we don't clash in terms of who's in charge of what particular area. I think if there's a clash, and I think all ministerial couples know, you still just have difference of opinions in terms of how things should go or that kind of thing. But I think it's been good. It's helped us and pushed, I guess, each of us to do what we needed to get done.
But Pastor, I have carried her outside. I carried her outside and pointed at the marquee and said, "You see, my name is up there."
And I have taken him to lunch and officially tendered my resignation as well.
Oh, my God.
But I begged her to come back.
Yeah.
And it was so.
See, I didn't do that with the sign, because that's when the fight break out, right?
Yeah.
I
should've
looked.
not
I
done
said,
it.
"You're right."
And they were
he's right.
they were so gangster too. Her and my son.
Right.
They took me out. We wanted to go to lunch, and I'm like, we just sitting at lunch.
It was a setup.
Yep. And then all of a sudden they slide these 2 envelopes over to my side of the table with letters of resignation on them.
Yes.
And I'm like,
Lord have mercy.
this is so ghetto.
Said I'd rather have my husband, and my
that's
son
what they both said.
He'd rather have his dad.
So is that when you broke down crying and told you
Yeah,
wanted to
I was
say?
like, it was weeping in gnashing of teeth. I thought I was in Revelation. It was weeping in gnashing of teeth, please.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
I was like Theo Huxtable on the Cosby Show. Justine, please.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we talk about that, and you talk about being real and stuff like that. But the bottom line at that point was, he was harder on us than he was on the other employees. We have other employees, and just because we're family, we didn't think it's fair to put that extra burden on us, asking us to do stuff at midnight, 1 o'clock, 1 in the morning. I'm like, you ain't calling up nobody else telling them to do that. We're like, oh no, something got to give. So that's what that was all about. Just treat us like any other employee. And we all started talking about it at that point. We know we wear different hats, and maybe we need to get a hat that say dad, mom, boss, so that we know who's talking at any particular time.
Right. So he came in with sackcloth, and that's when you knew it was cool to come back.
There you go.
There you go.
That is excellent. Well, hello, Lauren. It is great to see you on the thread. Marvin, of course, we know you're on the thread, you and Jackie. Jackie says 32 years of marriage, amazing. So it is great. Hello, Nicole, Desiree. So make sure you share, invite somebody to be a part of the conversation. We are here this weekend with our friends because it is a big weekend
Big
in the Brown household.
Yeah.
What's happening this
Tell us.
weekend?
Our daughter is getting married. We're
Their
so
baby girl.
excited.
Baby girl.
Yes,
The princess,
Yeah.
the baby girl.
I will be
Yes.
no good when we get to that point. I'm
I
just going to
know.
tell you up front. I'm going to need counseling from you. I'm
I
going to
need
everything.
counseling. I need counseling. So maybe while you here,
You got to lay hands on the
we've
brother,
already
everything.
come to the conclusion that tomorrow I will not be saying I give her away.
Oh, yeah.
Because you don't want to be breaking down, right?
No, just
You're
because
not.
I ain't giving her away.
Right. I got you.
I mean,
I
you
got
can marry her, but I'm not giving her
true.
away.
Right.
That's
right.
true. That's
Yeah.
true. I
That
get
is
it.
Yeah,
definitely
you can't
true.
have her. You
I
can't
will be
have
the
her.
same way.
They
Yeah.
definitely. And one thing that Pastor Ramsey and I have always said, we've always admired their marriage, the way
Yes.
they parent. A quick testimony for me is when I was thinking about going back to school and I was thinking about Regent, God put it on my heart when I looked up where it was to call Elder. And because I knew she would be honest with me, they're a big advocate for education and continuing education. So she was like, oh, that's where my daughter goes. You know, my daughter-in-law goes there. Why don't you talk to her? And Kay Michelle was just a sweetheart. She's just a sweetheart.
Good people.
And you know, she's, oh, you can do it. It's fine. You'll be fine. And she just made me feel so comfortable. And I'm thinking, oh, she a young girl. No, she a young girl. You know, she got this. You know, they're different.
right,
They're different like that. But she was so encouraging and supportive. And then my first week down here, I was down here by myself. You and your daughter met me, you know, for dinner and just talked and encouraged me. So you don't meet people like that, especially people that have such a large ministry that are so down to earth. And I think that's one of the things my husband and I love about you guys.
Yeah, we do.
Aw,
We really
thank
do.
you.
Just genuine. And you know as well as I know, as long as we've been doing this, that's hard to find.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
you better cling to it when you find it.
Absolutely.
Bishop,
Well, we say congratulations to
I
you.
know that's
You've
right, on
made
the
the
new
journey.
degree.
Yes.
That was
I don't have no sound effects because I don't have
Yeah,
Well,
and
look,
you're not playing with his little sound effects.
Look, Pastor not clapping just for that congratulations. he clapping for no more airfare and no more
That
ticket
too.
prices.
Absolutely.
And it was a lot. It definitely was a lot
so
of work.
Dr.
It was, but
Alicia Ramsey.
she
Yes.
definitely earned it, though. I mean,
Yeah.
I watched the grind every day.
I
I
know.
watched it for
Absolutely.
three and a half years. I watched it during COVID, and she still was
that
grinding
had
it
to
out.
be difficult. Yeah.
Because my kids didn't go nowhere. Like, I didn't realize how hard it was getting until they're home all day, every
Right.
day. They couldn't go nowhere. They want to eat all the time.
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
navigating, trying to figure out virtual church and
Yeah.
how things can work and
A
making
lot
some.
of dynamics.
It was a lot
Yeah.
going on,
Yeah.
and that was the most funerals he's ever done.
In 30 years. That's the
Wow.
most funerals I've ever done in my life.
So y'all lost a lot to COVID or just other situations or
A lot of it was COVID.
Okay.
In
And-
other
And
situations,
then there was a few
because
other
there were
situations.
people that were really like in a hopeless state and
Okay.
Right.
wanted support, and we found
Mm-hmm.
ourselves supporting people because we also had situations where people were dealing with that hopelessness.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And COVID didn't help that.
Yeah, we had
no,
one
no.
Couldn't
one
get to
particular
people
funeral that I
and-
did.
Yeah.
I'll never forget because the young child was a special need kid, and you know how we are about our son Jeremiah.
Right.
And so things like that. We had all of that turning at the same time, and then managing campuses. And okay, we're not going to do it over here. We're going to do
Oh
two
my
over here.
God.
We're gonna do this, that. All of that. You had a lot of that going on during that time. So
Right.
God has really been faithful.
Yes.
I think sometimes when you're in ministry, people that are not in ministry don't understand the burden
They don't.
of doing ministry, marriage, and then doing it. One of the things that we admire about you all, and we see it in ourselves as well, is there's a whole lot of ministry couples that say they're in partnership. But what do you do?
Exactly.
I mean, I'm not trying to be funny, but when you really see, this is not, we're in partnership just for the aesthetics of it. We
Right.
are a team. And COVID changed the game for marriage, ministry,
Everything.
everything. And then to be pursuing education in the midst of all of that, hats off to you.
And then mom passed during that.
Yes,
my
and
mother
you
passed
know-
during COVID as
Oh,
well.
He
Yeah.
lost his mother,
Oh, wow.
and then he couldn't spend the time he wanted to spend with her
Right.
because of the restrictions. Remember
Exactly.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
With
right.
the nursing homes, and I saw that was really hard. He was really close to his mother,
Okay.
and he
Wow.
took care of his mother, and
Yeah.
I loved him even more for the way he took care of his mother.
Yes.
But I saw towards the end that was really hard of her not recognizing him, or
Yeah.
him having to stand outside the window. That was difficult. Remember the time when you took Johnny down and it touched him. that she knew.
Yeah.
You know who he
Yeah.
was.
Yeah. So what happened, one time I went down Bishop, and she stayed up in Indianapolis. She had her own little place for about 12 years or so, maybe 12, 13 years. And then when her health started to decline, we put her in an assisted living home.
Right.
And then eventually she had to go to the nursing home with the dementia and everything. And so the last 2 months, we moved her to Fort Wayne, where my sister lives, and it was a nursing home right around the corner from her house. And so that was the last couple of months. So I would drive down almost every week or so. And I remember because of COVID, they would have to wheel her to this one particular door. I would go around the building and go through the double doors, and they would wheel her up to the glass so I could see her. But you couldn't go
That's
in.
right.
Couldn't have
And
contact.
so the one time I went, the last time I went, it was this is the last time before she passed, which was that following week. When she looked at me, I could tell she didn't know who I was. So I went to my phone, and John Jr., that's her buddy right there. That was her running buddy for a long time. I pulled a picture up of her and I put it on the window, and she started crying. That's when I knew that she had it, because her speaking wasn't very clear.
Wow.
Right.
And just dealing with grief, I could tell that this Mother's Day affected him more than the last.
Right.
And, just
Right,
thinking about
right.
that aspect of it.
Yeah, last was cool.
Yeah.
I was cool. This one was a little bit different.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But isn't that a joy, though, to have such a positive relationship? And I think that's what we're trying to implement with our children,
Yeah.
Yes.
is that open door, policy.
Right,
Thinking
right.
about your baby girl. His relationship with Judah is very special.
Okay.
Yes.
And I try to, navigate and stay through it. That's my
Feel
girl.
your pain, Bishop.
Yeah.
That's my girl, but
Yeah.
it's just that I love it. I didn't have that,
Right,
growing up,
right.
and I never want to come between that,
Right.
What was it, Bishop, that you yourself can see over the years helped you keep the relationship, a positive relationship with your daughter?
Yeah, and even build on that a little bit too, Bishop, if you would, because it's so important. It's so important for fathers to understand that it's more than putting food on the table
Absolutely.
and paying
Right,
bills.
right,
Absolutely.
right.
You really need to be engaged
Right.
to effectively parent.
Well, I think for me, that's a great question. I think for me personally, probably my journey. I don't know if you all are aware of this, but I'm a PK. But at 12 years old, my mom and dad have a very visible divorce
Okay.
that plays out literally in front of church. So for me, when God called me to preach, first of all, I had a whole lot of unresolved anger, a ton of unresolved anger. And so I remember not arguing with God, but telling him, okay, if you want me to do this preaching thing, the only thing I ask is don't let ministry take my family.
Right.
And they'll tell you right now that where I really get emotional and passionate is about that. So what I always wanted to do was to make sure that my children understood they were not less important than
Right.
church.
Right.
And so, for me, we've always been clear on assignments. Obviously, she's the academic. So if my children came home and needed homework assistance, she did that. I'm the engineer, right brain. So if they had projects, I did that.
Yes.
To this day, my daughter still remembers me building an Indian teepee for her or a volcano that exploded.
Yeah, I'm not creative at all.
Right, but
No, can't do it.
but I'm not the academic at all.
Right, right.
I graduated, thank you, Lord.
Exactly. I think I was right behind you.
And so I think one of the things that parents need to remember is when your child is grown, they're not, believe it or not, they're not going to remember the PlayStation
No.
Right.
That's
or the
right.
Xbox.
That's
Right.
right.
My daughter to this day remembers that I was the room father.
Correct.
Wow.
That she said, my dad volunteered, the class had always had a room mother.
Right.
But they had never had a room father. And so she said, I remember him coming with the snacks, with the cupcakes, and helping the teacher set up stuff like that. So I think that's how you start to build legacy. It's going to be the memories, not the stuff.
That's
Exactly.
correct.
That's powerful.
It is very powerful, and it's interesting you said that because Johnny said that to me one time. Because sometimes I wonder, Elder, we're so, nope, you're going to know your ABCs, you're going to know this, you're going to
Right,
do this.
right,
No,
that's
we do
right.
more than enough. If they ask for 3 sentences, you write 5.
That's right.
Like I was that, that's the kind of mother I was.
Right, right.
And sometimes I have to look, I was like, was I too, And he says, Mom, I always remember you wanted me to try different things. So you took us to a rodeo. You took
Right.
me,
Wow.
to
Wow.
do the opera, the orchestra. Like I made it. I wanted them to experience different things,
exposed.
whether they
Right.
liked it or
Well-rounded.
not.
That's right.
Well,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now he looks back and he could say, no, we did this, and my mother made us try this. And when it came to sports, we just didn't say basketball, football. He tried
right.
swimming, he
There you
tried
go.
soccer.
That's
We
right.
let him try everything.
right.
And then when he got to middle school, we sat down and said, you have to make a decision. We're not going to let you do everything, and these are the areas where you are gifted in.
Yeah.
And he was able to, because remember, he wasn't no basketball player.
Yeah, he came home one time, Bishop, and told me, he said, Dad, it was middle school. He said, I think I'm gonna go out for basketball. And I said, let me tell you why you just said that. You said that because the basketball coach came to your last football game and watched you score 3 touchdowns, right?
Right.
And
saw his
watch you play on
vertical.
both sides of the
Yeah.
field, right?
Right.
And he said, yes, he did. And he caught me in the hall. I said, that's exactly what happened. I said, we ain't doing that.
We ain't doing
I
that.
said, let me just tell you something. You will make the team because your athleticism.
That's
Right,
correct.
right.
I said, but I don't have time to come watch them. Because you ain't getting no playing time. You ain't getting no playing time.
Right.
No, and we had to help him make that decision.
Right, right.
And I don't know about you, but in this day and age, they letting their kids make too many decisions.
Yes.
We say
Oh.
that. We say that
All the time.
all
You get
the
me on my
time.
soapbox.
Oh
That's
yeah, you just
exactly
hit her
right.
button.
I said
Yeah.
parents are not being parents. I don't get it.
I don't get it either. You got single mothers with daughters coming up telling their moms, I'm going to go to Howard. I'm going to go to Stanford. Okay, fine. Now, where's the Stanford and the Howard money?
Come on now. There
Wherever.
we go.
And I tell our members this.
That's right.
They'll tell me sometimes, they'll tell
That's
her, they'll
right.
tell me, they'll say, hey, Pastor, I got these 3 opportunities for school. I said, which one give you the most money?
That's
They said, this one. I
right.
said, that's
Full
God.
ride.
Absolutely.
I said, that's God right
ride.
there.
That's it.
Because
That's
you're
it.
gonna be sitting. In fact, tell them the story about Kimberly wanting to go. I don't know if we can
Oh, this
say
is
the
great.
name of the university.
It's nothing
Yeah.
negative
Yeah.
about the school.
Right,
She was
right.
coming out of A&T, had graduated.
Okay.
Full
Where she
ride
went
through
for a full
A&T
ride.
again,
Okay.
but that's where she wanted to go, so that wasn't a dilemma. But when she came out, she wanted to finish grad school because obviously as an accountant, you got to get that 5th year. And so A&T had gotten her a full ride to Michigan State. Full ride, apartment, tuition, books, a stipend,
Wow.
health
That's
Like
the will of
Will
God.
of God.
That's the will of God.
everything.
That's the will of
You
God.
don't need to pray.
I think I remember when you told me that. That's awesome.
But she wanted to go to Wake Forest. Now, Wake Forest, okay, nice school. I mean, that's what I'm saying. There's nothing wrong with the school. You know, it's in North Carolina. She had a lot of friends that were going to be going there. And she knew friends because A&T, North Carolina, she could still be close to them. But they only gave her 50%. Well, 50% at Wake Forest, if you know the tuition.
Was not the will of God.
I'm like, I still got to pay half the tuition, still room and all that. I'm like, babe, you know, you going to Michigan. Oh, she went off for a while. And she kept saying, well, it's so cold in Michigan. I said, babe, I can buy you a fur coat.
Right.
But I'm going to be so far away. I can buy your airline ticket. I said, because for what the difference is, we can do that. So we kind of went through that for a minute. But she went to Michigan and best choice. She loves it. She loves Michigan State. She had a great time. And
That's
this is
good.
what I be trying to get parents to see. Kids think they know where they want to go, but the average kid, now
Right.
there may be exceptions, but the average kids, once they get on a college campus and meet people, it's college. It doesn't matter. They're having fun. They're getting a great degree, and then they don't come out with debt. And so
Right.
she's so far ahead of her friends who, let's just say they're making the same salary, but she's living better because she doesn't have a student loan to pay, and they're paying
Right.
student loans, and they're figuring out, well, how can she buy a car and buy a house? Because your loan
no
payment
student loan.
is doing
There's
that
no
for her.
mortgage payment.
Right, and see,
Correct.
that's what Johnny saw too, because John Jr., because he got a scholarship, a partial scholarship, 50% for football at Marion University in Indianapolis, and they're real good in football and all that.
Okay.
And but the tuition was like $45,000.
Whew.
Thank you.
So we started his college fund the week he was born.
There you go.
Right.
That's
That's
another.
the
That's
other
another
piece.
one.
That's the other piece right there.
The
That's
week he was
right.
born,
Yes.
I walked
At
in the bank and said, listen, I got
$529.
$50. I need
There
a
you go.
$529.
Yeah.
I know
That's
all
right.
about how this works.
Right.
I
That's
said,
right.
so you're going to see me every month with this $50
There you
till I can
go.
take it to the next level. And
Right.
so
Absolutely.
when we got to a certain point, we started really going hard at that.
Right.
So we were able to get him through college, through a private college like that,
Wow.
no debt.
Wow.
And we were able to, he got in a wreck right before graduation, a couple weeks before graduation, and he didn't know that we were going to try to get him another car for graduation.
But somebody totaled him.
Yeah,
and
somebody
totaled
hit
his
him,
car.
hit this
Yeah.
other car, ricocheted off of that, hit his, and
Wow.
totaled it.
Wow.
And so they gave us more back on the car, and I thought the car was worth. So we put the balance with that we put put some more money down with that and got him a new
Oh, I
small
know you love
SUV.
that.
So he has no school debt,
See?
no car debt.
There you go.
Absolutely.
I said, do not fall in love with a woman with $100,000 worth of scholarship debt
Right.
or college
See?
debt.
See?
I said,
And
that ain't
that's
happening.
it. And then he's in this program. We qualify where he can get a free master's degree if he
see?
teaches in this district
That's
for
correct.
2
Right,
years.
right.
Yeah.
That's
He
a
just finished
no-brainer.
his first
We
year
told him,
teaching.
oh,
That's
this
the
is
will
not
of God.
optional.
Yes.
You're gonna, if you
Right.
don't take this opportunity, you will regret it.
That's
Right.
correct.
We
But
would
Pa-
tell you, because I'm
Right.
I'm
Right.
tired of school.
See,
You'll be
no,
just
you
fine.
sure will.
Right.
But Pastor, I think you kind of breezed over. I think one of the main highlights of a point that I think we really want to make. You said I went into the bank and said, "Here's $50." I think a lot of people think, well, that's not going to be enough. It's where you start. I don't care if
That's
you walk
it.
in there
Right.
with $25.
That's
You
it.
start and you be consistent. And so I think that's just a great point to make to everybody today.
I don't-
They
I
think
don't
you
know-
got to walk in with thousands to get
Right,
going. And
right.
I'm
Right.
trying to get them to understand whether it's a college fund or your household savings account. Just be consistent. You can start with $10, but if you
Right.
take $10 out of every paycheck,
Right.
Right.
you'll be so far ahead.
And I told
Yep.
parents the same thing. One of our members came up to me and she said, "Well, Pastor, my daughter's in 9th grade. Is it too late?" I said, "Absolutely not." I said, "Because you start now, no matter how little you put in, whatever,
Right.
you may have enough to cover her books for 4 years."
Exactly.
I said, and what you did is you reduced her debt.
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
so it's about, I think you said it perfectly. It's about just starting where you are and building upon that. Later on, we were able to build that up more.
Yeah.
So we just transferred it over into Judah's name.
Oh, nice.
By the time she gets to 9th grade, it'll be ready for her college.
See, that's it.
See, I don't know
That's
if
it.
Pastor's the real Bible scholar, but I know there's got to be a scripture somewhere that says, "Thou shouldst not have weareth red bottoms, and your child not have some college money."
Yeah, I think I read that scripture a couple times.
I know it's got to be
Somewhere, I
in there
can't remember
somewhere.
where it is. I don't remember where it is.
And I'm
It's
not
somewhere
saying don't
else.
get some red bottoms. I'm like prioritize. If it's just
No.
$50,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Or I know some single moms that I compliment all of the time because they will find every scholarship, every
grant.
voucher.
That's right.
A young lady that does my hair, her girls went to private school with the voucher system.
Right.
Paid change. Ended up, her daughter gets a full ride to Ball State
See?
to the point where she gets a check on a regular
Wow.
basis. Her
Amazing.
mom's going back to school. She found a scholarship and internship. I said, you need to start sharing that information
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you're gifted at
Finding.
knowing.
Yes.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
like you said,
Absolutely.
they will do research about a trip,
Yes,
about
Absolutely.
getting plastic surgery.
Come on.
Let's call it what it
Absolutely.
is.
That's
Right.
You
That's
know,
right.
they will go
That's
all
right.
over
Right.
the world, but
Right.
yet not look for those resources for their family.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Elder, can you talk a little bit about the debt you see people having to manage? Because I know you deal a lot with finances
Yeah. You know.
because of school choices and
Yeah,
so forth.
yeah, absolutely. And the classic statement that I hear is, "Where were you when I was 18?" or "Where were you when I was 16?"
Yeah.
And so it's all back on the parents not being parents. And of course, in some situations, parents didn't know. You know, they were probably in debt themselves. But I think the reality is, we are allowing our children to get into debt too early. A lot of them are already in college and they got car notes or they got a cell phone or they got jobs, and we allowed them to use that money to get into debt. So we're teaching debt as opposed to saving. Now I think kids should work. I think that's a great work ethic, but you work to learn work ethics. Your discipline. You learn to be responsible and things like that. So as they grow, unfortunately, we compound the debt again, as we've already talked about, with maybe college debt. Or again, maybe going out, getting a roommate. Yeah, you renting. You buy more than you can afford in a house. Or let's just even use the typical example. You graduate from college and maybe you don't even have all that debt, but now you get your first job and the first thing you do is go buy a new car.
Right.
Well, once again, it's yes. So we have not learned it's okay to get your first job.
Yeah.
But let's start once again putting some of that away. Don't always maximize your paycheck.
Yeah.
You got to save. You got to live below your paycheck so that you have some savings should some hard times come. And if you keep living, hard times are going to come. I mean, because that's just life. So the thing is, think about what you're buying before you buy it, and if you can really afford it. And what I teach in our household and even my kids is start putting however it's going to cost. Let's say you're going to buy a car, and it's going to cost you $500 a month. I don't know where you can find a $500, but anyway, $500 a month. I tell them, put $500 in your savings account for the next 3 months and see if you go back and touch it.
That's good.
Well, if you go back and get it, that tells you you're not ready for that car note, because if you had the car note, you wouldn't have that 500 to go back to.
Right.
You should be able to put that 500 in your savings account and not need it, and it be sitting there. That gives you a feel for whether or not you can afford the debt. So whether it's a car, whether it's a mortgage, a house, a new house, an upgrade, try and put that money away first for a couple of months, and that'll give you a good indication of whether you can afford that debt.
Well, you made us do that at the church.
Oh, yeah, I just
every
correct.
time
I
we've
do
gotten
that
ready to
here at the
build
church.
something, whatever the mortgage of the church would be, a year before we went to the bank, we would start paying ourselves that mortgage every
That's
month.
correct.
Wow.
That's
And
good.
if the church couldn't put that money in its savings
And leave it.
we knew we were not ready as a church
That's great.
Absolutely.
to build or do whatever.
I think that's a
Absolutely.
great principle. One of the things that we do is that we have an account for everything, for our vacations, for
That's right.
Christmas,
That's
the,
right.
the whole nine.
Absolutely.
And we've done this for years. I used to do this when I was single. And obviously, we kind of expanded on how we go about doing that. But it's like you said, we will never take a vacation that's not paid for before we take it.
That's correct.
It's just not going to happen.
That's
So that's not
right.
vacation.
That's not vacation. That's just adding to my
That's
stress
vacation.
load.
Right.
That's
Right.
stresscation.
Yeah.
That's good. Jessica Thomas says this: my pastor and first lady hanging out in Chesapeake with a wonderful pastor and his wife. I had the opportunity to hear him in person, and I love that I logged on this afternoon. Dolores says, blessed to be hearing shared wisdom. And Lauren says, I could talk to my dad about anything. He was very
has a great
open
relationship
and
with
never judged me. He always put his
great.
family first. So they are really enjoying this conversation. Make sure you share, tag somebody, invite them to be a part
I
of
was
it.
going to say you're a pastor.
Don't get me started. You know how many
See, back at home, we open up Jonah all the time.
they be like, he could say something. You know how they are about their pastor, their bishop,
Right.
And it could be off, and they, oh, that's my pastor.
Like they say it like
I
that.
love my
They say it like
I'm
that.
like, oh, yes, they do. They definitely say it
Wow.
like that. But we had a situation on the flip side with John Jr. that we had to get him to understand. You're an adult now.
Right.
So I went to the dentist, and there was a bill at the dentist, and I was like, well, we haven't been here. And they said, well, John Jr. was here. I said, he got health insurance.
Health
He a
insurance.
teacher.
Right.
Why are we getting this bill? And the utilities, when he should have had these utilities in his name, and we're looking like,
Right.
you got to get this stuff. You're an adult.
Now, Elder, you would have choked him out. You would have choked him
No,
out.
no,
I was close.
no,
I was close. So I told him, I said, look, man, because he stays in the room that we own.
Yeah.
So
He pays rent.
yeah, we
That's
made
right.
it real reasonable because
That's right.
teacher salary is
Right.
starting out. So when he decided he started telling me, Dad, I'm thinking about getting an apartment.
You want an
something.
apartment.
And so I said, John, who goes from a house to an apartment?
Go ahead.
I said, if the issue is your roommates have graduated and you don't want roommates, that's the
Right.
power of ownership.
Right.
Now, it helps us if you got one. I
Exactly.
said, but because of where you are age-wise, you don't have to have one. He said, okay, cool. So we do a lot of things, fix the house up really nice, everything. And so I told him, son, you got to pick up the utilities. You're working full time.
That's right.
So your rent is minimal. Just pick up the utilities.
Absolutely.
6 months later, he's at the house. We watching something on TV. I said, hey, man, did you ever switch? Because, I got a lot of things automatic.
That's right.
I
That's
said,
right.
did you ever switch that over? Oh, I forgot. I said, you forgot? I said, so he just switched them over about 2 weeks
What?
ago.
No, tell them what you did.
Oh, this is what I did. I said, I'm going to help your memory. I called down there, and I said, I want y'all to cut everything
Cut
off
everything
Monday.
off.
Oh my God.
That's what he
And then-
did.
That's
and then I
something
text-
she would have done.
That-
And then I
Now,
text
she
him.
would have done
I
that.
texted him and I
That's
said,
correct.
if you don't put everything in your name by Monday,
That's
everything
right.
is shut
It's
off.
going to be off.
She would have done that.
And then he called me irritated and said, well, Dad, I just didn't, I'm just trying to explain myself. He said, but I don't want to be frustrated. I said, you frustrated. I said, you over here on government assistant and you frustrated.
You hit Social Security.
Yeah,
But
man.
he
I
was
don't-
telling us about putting in his 401k and putting
Now,
his
he's good at
money
that.
away and
He's good at
saving.
that.
But then we thought about it. It was like, well, I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
You're not paying utilities.
Yeah.
That's not going to end. I'm gonna. That's not, because the same thing happens. I pay the bills, so he may not know, about all of it, but the same thing happened. I was going through our phone, because we talked about the phone, the landline, and all the cell phone. I'm like, why is this stuff so high? I was trying to figure it out. My daughter's cell phone, all that stuff was still on our service, absolutely. And like Apple and your Direct TV and all that's automatic and stuff. They watching movies. I'm like, we didn't order this movie. Who ordered it? So that, I don't care how old they get. Our son is married with the 3 kids. All them still ordering movies on our subscription. So
I
luck.
think that, Mom,
Good luck.
what's your Netflix? What's your Disney
That's
Plus?
correct.
And then you know what he does? 'Cause he's
That's
a
right.
boxing fan, Bishop.
Oh,
You know,
man,
and
pay-per-view.
And before he was never into boxing until about the last 4 or 5 years, right? So he'll call me up and say, "Hey, Dad, what do you think about getting that one fight? You know, with so and so and so."
You get it.
And I said, "What, you want to come out and watch the fight?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "What you really mean is you want me to pay for the fight?" I said,
Exactly.
"Come on out, I'll get that one
Exactly.
because I do want to see this match."
But his
You know?
way is, I'll bring a pizza.
Yeah, he'll bring pizzas out to the house and all that type
Right.
of thing.
Right.
Yeah, he will bring a pizza. But
Well, they're
even-
gonna always try if they can to get a few dollars out of us. They gonna do that.
And then the fact for us is we're really trying to get him to see that this missionary dating thing, there's no perfect relationship, but you can find someone that is not devastated by trauma from their family because you come from a stable family.
Right.
And he has, as of to this date, found, the opportunity to date someone that has the same type of stability.
Right.
And even getting him to see that people are attracted to your stability.
Right. That's true. That is
Wow.
true. That's
And I
true.
told him too. I told
Wow.
him, I said, you
Wow.
have to be very smart. You know, he's not dating anybody or anything right now, but I said, you have to be very smart, John. I said, because here's the reason why. I said, because whoever you get with initially, they gonna think we come with you and we don't. I said, this ain't Ron's house. I said, this is not Ron's house.
Yes.
I don't have no rolls out in front of the
Right.
crib. I don't get none of
That's
that.
right.
I said,
Right.
so you need to understand that's gonna be their mentality coming
Right.
in. You got to dispel that.
Right.
When it came for dating, especially with your baby girl, how did you handle that?
I already know how I'm gonna handle it.
All right. They've been
I got
through
a
it,
game
so that's
plan,
what we can learn.
and I'm gonna take
from
all
it.
the notes I can.
Yes, let's take
and
the
add to it.
advice.
Well, I think first of all, I had to really wrap my. She's gonna always be your little girl.
Right.
And so I think one of the ways, like even now, we'll go into staff meetings and she's in there, she's the associate executive pastor, doctorate from region and all this kind of stuff. And I still some days see her as the 4-year-old. So I think you've got to prepare yourself, first of all, that she is a grown woman.
Yeah.
I think we differentiated and drew clear lines on what you go to your mom and talk about because your dad is not going to be able to receive it
That's good.
and
Yeah.
keep his Christian witness
Yeah.
and what you go to your dad and talk about. So and I would respect that. There would be days when I'd come in the kitchen, her and her mom and they're crying. I knew this was, if I'm not in the room, this is something I don't need to know
Right.
about. And respect their space and vice versa. So there would be days when she would step to me, I don't understand why God is not sending my Boaz. You just preached about that. And she and I could sit down. I think the other thing that this week has really taught me is, and I hope I can sow this into you too, Pastor, is your daughter rather have her father than her pastor any day.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's good.
Yes.
And so it's amazing because tomorrow she's getting married, and she told me about a year ago the bishop was not invited. His name is not even on the guest list. She said Bishop Kim
correct.
Brown is not
That is
invited to my
correct.
wedding, but my daddy is.
Yes.
That's so good.
And so she's like,
Yes.
I don't even want you to
No
get it
bishop
twisted.
garb.
So don't wear your
Yes.
bishop's stuff.
Yes.
Nope.
Yeah.
Because
No.
if you put that cross in your pocket and that collar on, you start to identify that as a bishop moment.
Right.
I don't need the bishop at my wedding. I need my dad
That
at my
is so
wedding.
good.
Absolutely.
And Judah will be that same way.
Yep.
She talks to me about
Because she is my daddy. Like, he's, Jeremiah's daddy too. But when she, like, my daddy said, and I just let her, okay, this is what your daddy said. And I do believe that. That is very important to
I'm
know
taking
the-
all that
the
wisdom right there.
difference. And I remember a time I was dealing with Johnny with the situation when your mom passed. And I stepped outside because it was a lot of our church, members were there. And I talked to him because I always respect that he's a young man. And I'm going to talk to him like a young man. So I talked to him outside, but my husband said he walked past and he saw my face in my hand. He said, I didn't know what you was talking about, but he said, I knew it was something
So
going
my
on.
armor bearer was with me because we could ready to grab something to eat real quick.
Yeah.
And he said, I wonder why they out there. I said, Johnny's getting served right now.
Absolutely. And you got to respect that boundary
Yeah.
Yes.
because the relationships are different.
Different.
Yeah.
And your children know what to bring to dad, what to bring to mom, and you respect that.
Yeah.
And I think the kids, even in that, because you made me think about times when I've stepped to my son, and I think that therein lies the difference. I think we both can step to our children, but I think they receive it better from me, and I might be wrong in that judgment, but I just think sometimes I can read them, and even whether it's work or whether it's parental advice that I'm giving, they can get mad at me, but come right back 5 minutes later and just say, "You're right. You're right. You're right." I wasn't receiving that, but I know this is for my own. But I think sometimes when the husband does it, I don't know if it just comes off differently or maybe a little more harsh or,
because it's dad.
Yeah.
Well, I think some of it is contextual about how you were raised.
Right.
So I know with my son, when I see him, I'm from the hood, so I know what's out there.
Right.
So I step to him hard because, man, I know how many people. I tell my son all the time. I said, "Son, you've never been a pallbearer at one of your friends' funerals."
Right.
I was a pallbearer at 3 friends' funeral before I got out of high school.
Yeah.
So, good or bad, I've got that baggage.
Right.
Right.
That causes me to step to him different. Now, when I step to my daughter, it's through naivete. Because, and maybe the same thing with you all. Although they were raised in the same house, they were raised in different contexts because of where we were in life.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
For
my
sure.
son drives my mother's old car, is his first car. Kimberly goes to the lot and we get a car out of the lot because we were able to do that by the time Kimberly's coming along. So they grew up with some contextual differences as well. But she's right.
That's great pointing that out. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because remember with Judah, you told her she was, what did you say to her? When you told her she was spoiled?
Oh, we were driving down the street one day, taking her to cheerleading practice.
Okay.
I call her Juice. I said, "All right, Juice, we're on our way home." She said, "Let's get back to the house so you can get ready for school tomorrow, this, that, and the other, and everything." He said, "Dad, I'm kind of hungry." And I said, "Well, what do you want?" She said, "Can we get sushi?" I said, "Girl, you bougie."
See?
Right.
I said, "Girl, you are bougie." She
Right.
said, "Dad, you made me bougie. It's not my fault."
Or you called her spoiled.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And what
right.
did she say?
She said, "I spoiled her."
No, she didn't. She said, "I'm not spoiled. I'm privileged."
That's what she said.
Okay.
That's what she
I
said.
said, no,
Okay,
the
okay.
vocabulary lesson going on
I said,
there.
6 in one
She
hand,
said,
half
"I'm
dozen in the
not
other. It's all
spoiled."
the
She
same.
said, "I'm privileged."
That's right.
But
That's
you're
right.
right, and you have grandchildren. Your grandchildren will be raised different than your children.
Yeah, they will. Yeah, that's true.
They definitely
Because of
are.
the support they have,
Right.
in
Absolutely.
their family.
Right.
And
Already.
you try to balance that. He and I have to talk about that as well, making sure that we balance that because you try to protect them from some of the things
Right.
that we went through.
Right.
Bishop, when I graduated from high school, I was still on free lunch.
Right.
Like kids don't know nothing about that card, that
Right.
yellow card.
Absolutely.
You got to
That's
give them,
right.
they punch that. Now kids put in a number, so you
Right.
don't know
So
who
you don't
paid
know who-
and who's free.
Absolutely.
We had
Okay.
to get, and
Right.
You
I
had
was
a card.
so embarrassed by the time I was in
Absolutely.
high school. That I was like,
Okay.
I didn't want to pull that card out.
Okay.
I wouldn't eat or wait until I got a job, and then I could, pay for what I wanted to have. But those things that we carried that you never forget.
Right.
That's right.
I tell people all the
That's right.
time. I remember you took me there with the food stamp. We would be in the food stamp line because like on the 3rd of the month you would have to go to you would have to go to social services
Yeah.
to pick up your coupon book. It would have food stamps in it. We in the food stamp line. My mama driving a Coupe de Ville. So now that I'm grown, I'm like, we were in the food stamp line in a Cadillac. Come on, y'all! Somebody.
There
Where
we
were-
go.
Where were
Who's
y'all?
teaching that? That's
Right.
Where
you
were
know,
y'all?
right. Where are
We
your
in the food
priorities?
stamp line.
But you know what? That was all of us back then.
Right.
Yeah, but-
we in a
that was a lot of
Cadillac.
people back then.
Yeah, but that was that hustle.
Right.
And I remember
Yeah.
one time, and my wife's a great mother. I think an incredible mother. I remember one time John was in middle school, and I came home, and she was getting on him about something. And she wasn't screaming or anything like that, but she was just saying, when I was growing up, we didn't have this, we have this, and just really kind of breaking some things down for him. And he just listened to her and nodded his head and everything. She said, "Now go up to your room." And when he went to the room, I just said to her, I said, "Babe," I said, "everything you said was good. Everything you said was true." I said, "But you can keep all of it moving forward." I said, "Because that kid has no context."
He can't identify
I said,
with
"That's
that.
why he was
Yeah.
sitting there looking like he was, he
Right.
just
What
got
are you
off of-
talking about?
Yeah.
Yes.
I said, he has no context. I told a friend of mine, I said, we were talking about our sons. And I said to him, I said, "Man, if our sons got this one the way we did,
Oh,
They'd be on somebody's
Oh,
couch
my
right now. getting help.
goodness.
oh, absolutely.
They would be getting help
Yeah.
right now.
That's
And it's
right.
it's in how you learn. Like John Jr., I could give him a look.
That's right.
And he
Same thing
lines
with our
up.
That's
children.
correct.
Yeah.
He
That's
lines
right.
up. That little girl, I mean, she know what the look is,
Right.
but she want to have a conversation about the look.
Same way with our
Instead of just lining up and, finding that out. And I told him one day, I laughed to myself after I sent her upstairs because I'm big on telling these parents, stop with all this corporal punishment.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
want to hit first and talk
Right.
later.
That's right.
Instead of
That's
having
right.
a conversation,
That's right.
especially when
That's
you're
right.
angry, because that's when it's abuse.
Correct.
Right.
You're angry.
Right.
So it's I didn't
Absolutely.
go up to your room. Go up
Absolutely.
to your room. Let me
Right.
calm
Somebody should have
myself.
told my father that.
Right.
My father too.
Yeah, I
My
think
father
all
would
our
tell me how many lashes I was gonna get, like I was Kunta Kinte.
Mine wouldn't. My father would whoop your behind till you scream, Toby. You understand what I'm saying?
My daddy would say, "Now I'm gonna hit you 12 times, so you like I want to count."
Right.
yes. But in that moment, it was like she took it, and I was kind of proud in a way, Elder, because she took it. She stood there, and I went through everything. Don't let me email. Don't do this. Don't. Tear running around her, didn't say nothing. She went up. I said, that girl took that like a G.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
she didn't say one word back.
Wow.
And like you said, she came back down later and said, Mommy, I understand what you were saying.
Right.
Yep.
Exactly.
Mommy, I know I can't do this and this is the thing, getting caught up in all this social.
Right.
The
Oh, my
social
God.
media.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
just driving me crazy. He and I are
Yes.
looking at their 10, their 11, their 12.
Yes.
Yeah, I just paid for an app that we're gonna set up her phone with when I get back, and it allows you to restrict things on
Okay.
certain
Yeah.
platforms. To like, let's say 8:00 at night.
Right.
She can't social media.
Right.
Or whatever the case might be, just to kind of have. But it also enables you to see everything.
be a
across
parent.
boundaries. Yeah.
Exactly.
Because it takes a lot of work.
Absolutely.
You parent for life. It is a
do.
life sentence.
Absolutely.
People,
Say that for the
it's
people
a
in the
life
back.
sentence. You don't. You're a parent to the day you die if you
That
have
Right.
is
children.
correct.
Right.
That is correct.
And there's so many
Absolutely.
people opted out or
Yeah.
want to tag in
Wow.
Pastor and I. And it's like, now there's
Right.
a problem if they have
Yeah.
more respect for me
Than they have for you.
Right.
than they
have for
have
you.
for you.
I tell
Right.
people all the time, your child's greatest teacher should not be in a classroom outside your house.
Exactly.
I should be my child's greatest teacher.
Yeah.
These are support systems.
Yeah.
Correct.
But man, you should be the greatest instructor in your child's life.
John's 24, and he'll call us in a heartbeat. He called me the other day about a job situation.
From
Was asking,
work.
what do you think I need to do?
Yes.
And when he couldn't get me the next day, he called his mom. So it's
He'll
back and
always
forth.
call back to back.
It's
Yeah.
always one of us, and just to get wisdom on
Doesn't
something.
that make you feel good?
Oh,
It does.
I mean, it
does.
does. It does.
And then he told his boss, I talked to my parents.
right.
And this is to make sure I was making the right decision.
Absolutely.
And that's why I just wanted to say, well, son, God can give you a helpmate that has a support system too.
Right.
Because what he ends up being their support system.
Yeah, you don't want
and
that.
It's not supposed, we know what it's like in marriage.
That's
and
correct.
if you have to be the support system for them, it is not, you say it all the time, that a half woman and a half man do not make
Never
a
make
whole
a whole
marriage.
relationship.
And I
Never.
say all the time, it does matter who you marry.
Yep.
It does matter. They will make or
Just
break
think,
you.
if you had not married me, you wouldn't be sitting in that spot together.
Tell him he wouldn't either.
No,
Tell him he wouldn't
he
either.
knows.
Elder.
He was
knows.
waiting for me to say that, but I figured I'd say I'd hold
Both
up.
Say that off the camera.
both chairs would be empty.
So I'm about to touch another sore spot. So your girl is moving to Black Hollywood, Atlanta.
Yes, she is. Yes.
So tell us about that.
Well, they've like as we shared when she put her house on the market. It sold very quickly. She was thinking it was going to take a minute, but it sold fast. So for the last 5 months, she's been back in the house with us. And then just last week, about maybe 2 weeks ago now, they moved all of her stuff to Atlanta because obviously after this weekend, they go to the honeymoon and they go straight back to Atlanta. And she wanted to have all her stuff already there. So we've kind of already had the initial tears because I went down to Atlanta. We kind of hung out a little bit. So. It's exciting. It's a great
But
place.
do I need to help, Pastor?
Okay, go
Because
ahead.
it's a rites of passage. It's a rites of passage because we were in Atlanta a couple of
Last
weeks ago,
week, weekend.
and he was out of town. So I'm staying in his house right now with my daughter and my wife. So Kimberly says, and I listened to the language. She said, we decided we'll let you all sleep in the master bedroom.
Right.
This ain't your house.
Right.
This is his house.
Right.
So, and when you've been the dad, we've now transitioned into another place in parenting because the next day we get up to go to breakfast. She goes down to the garage, backs his SUV out, and I'm sitting on the passenger side now. And she driving this stuff around Atlanta like this is my boo's car. And I'm like, man.
But I like that because he got a car to drive and a house to live in.
He got a Range Rover.
You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. I ain't mad at nobody.
So it was funny. So I'm in his house, and I'm in his house while he's out of town.
Right.
So we come in the house, and I wear my shoes through my house. But his rule, I guess, is take your shoes off.
Right.
So I come in this guy's house, and I see all the shoes at the door, and I'm like, man, he got all the shoes at the door. And so, Kimberly says, he doesn't like people walking around the house with his shoes on. And I'm like, I walk around the house. But then it dawned on me, okay, hold on, this is his house. Respect his house. So I took my shoes off, so I'm walking around in my socks all week. And then the next day, she fixing me breakfast. And I get my plate with my eggs and my bacon, and I'm getting ready to go into another part of the house and eat.
Living room watch and TV.
She's like, he really wants us to eat
back at the kitchen table.
In the kitchen. And right then I said, well, you know what? This Negro is out of town. So I'll eat in the bed if I want to, but then it dawned on me, respect the man's house because you want him to respect your house.
Exactly.
And so that was a whole nother, it was like God had to set that up for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, okay, this girl is getting ready to be married.
Yeah.
And in my mindset, it was almost like going to the prom. I thought marriage was like going to the prom. Okay, she's going to go get married with him tonight. But about 1 o'clock, she'll be back home. But no, she gone.
Yeah, she gone.
And so it was a rites of passage.
But you know what, Bishop? I think you hit an amazing point. Here's the reason why I say that. Because parents of adult children need to know how to respect their kids' houses.
Yes, they do.
And because they can create a lot of arguments.
Yes, they can.
For that couple because they think that, okay, because I'm the parent.
Yep.
The only rules I abide by are mine.
That's right.
And you end up having a kid going through divorce or going through unnecessary arguments when you're gone because of that attitude.
Absolutely.
Now, I've told them both, I am not going to be that mother-in-law. Everybody has that mother-in-law, and I've just made it, my goal that I'm going to be, someone that they want to be around. I want him to want me around. I don't want, if I want to come visit, he's like, oh, Lord, how long is she staying? I want him to be like, yeah, come on down.
So you're not going to be like my mom. You weren't going to go there.
I wasn't going to go there about your mother, but since you brought it up.
Just ask the Ramses to have us back.
Hey, we got 11 minutes. No, you got to give us something now.
I'll put it in perspective for you.
Okay.
This is the best story I can tell to help you to understand what she had to deal with. Talking about weddings. So at our wedding 32 years ago, we're at the altar. Small, intimate wedding with just family. My brother's standing there. He's my best man. Her brother-in-law is the pastor that's marrying us. He gets ready to pronounce us. We've done vows and everything. He gets ready to pronounce us husband and wife, husband and wife. And he says, it's my pleasure to introduce to you all for the first time. My mom jumps up in the middle of the wedding.
I got an announcement. Just like that.
I kid you not, Pastor.
What was the announcement?
She had gotten married the day before.
Lord have mercy.
And presented
You're not the only
us.
one getting married.
You're not the only
She
one.
couldn't do that at the reception.
Exactly.
And presented us
No.
with her marriage certificate framed. It's like, I'm not going to
Came
let
up to
her
the
have the
platform.
thunder
Yes.
today.
Yes.
Oh.
Wow.
And go and tell them what your brother said.
Well, since we're in a ministry thing, you got to understand my brother's not saved. My brother just looked at me and said, oh, S. Here it is.
Oh my
It's
God.
That's why I tell folks, you always need to have that one unsaved.
You gotta have one.
That one unsaved family. Now, he ride or die.
Right.
Tomorrow
Oh, yeah.
you'll see him at the wedding.
yeah.
He is ride or die.
That's right.
He will turn it out
Loves
if you talk
me to
about his
death.
little brother.
That's right.
And so he just said, I don't even believe she just did this.
Wow.
Yeah,
And so that was the beginning of many episodes.
It
Yes.
has to be. My mother struggled. She struggled because I didn't realize, Bishop, our stories are very similar. I was a PK, and my dad left my mom with 4 kids for a woman in the church.
Okay.
Woo,
So
woo, woo, woo. We need to talk. We need to talk because our stories
Yes.
Stories resemble.
So
Y'all got-
I
you got
always
stories.
I shifted into sister mother and very protective and almost like her spouse, even
Right.
though she was going through everything.
Me too.
So I'm always been I'm the mother.
Right.
You know, even
Right.
our kids
Even now.
notice that to this day, and she struggled because I know leave and cleave like.
Right.
So
Right.
it's, let me
Right.
see what John says.
Right.
What? He's my husband.
Right.
Can I come visit? Let me see what my husband
Right.
says.
Right.
And she really had a hard time with that and understanding that concept. But I was adamant
Yeah.
that this was going to work.
That's correct.
Because there were generational curses of divorces
There
on my
you go.
dad's side of the family.
Right.
You
Right.
know, so I knew my mom's side too. Think about it.
Mine
And
too.
It's too.
Mine
So it's
too.
like I have to be careful not to allow my mother to come between what God has put together.
Right.
And like you said, getting her to respect. If you can't respect this house,
That's right.
then you can't come visit this house.
Absolutely.
Right. And
It's a whole nother show.
And, you know, and it really
I know
is,
that's
but
right.
I respect and appreciated her for that because what we try to do in our families, God knows I've had enough drama on my side. So what we try to do is whoever family the challenge is coming from, that's who checks it.
That's
Absolutely.
correct.
Yeah.
That's
That's who
it.
checks.
Because they're not
That's
going to
it.
stay mad at you.
That's
Right.
right.
But
That's
they'll.
right.
It's
Well,
just
some
that,
do in my family. Some do.
Yeah, but I mean, the reality is, it'll be if it's her side of the family and she checks it, they'll forgive her before they'll forgive me.
Right.
They'll be like, she different now that she married him,
Exactly.
or he different now that he
Yes.
married her.
Yes.
And so for us, we learned that's one of our cardinal rules. You check your family, I'll check my family.
Right.
And we're the same way. A lot of the only person I know that was married more times than my mom was Liz Taylor.
No.
And she barely trumped my mom. My mom,
Yes, when
my
she
mom
died
was the
going
number
through
of
her
grace.
stuff.
Liz was married about 15 times.
Yeah, that's why I said she trumped my mom, but my mom was like the number of grace. Now I think it was 6, but one guy she married twice.
Yeah.
So it's really only 5. She went back and married like number
We
2.
found all the marriage licenses
Yeah,
when she died.
but
Yeah.
and so I realized when I brought all of this, that it's like, man, you got baggage, and I think sometimes
Yes.
people won't. First of all, genograms, and I know you're the counselor. People won't study themselves to see what's been poured into you.
Right.
We talk about generational curses, but people don't really want to acknowledge those kind of things. And when I looked at it, I'm like, man, you got some work to do on yourself.
Right.
Yes.
Right. And for me, Bishop, when I got married is when I start seeing, okay,
It is different.
I need to change.
Right, because
You know, I'm thinking,
it's
okay.
okay.
Absolutely.
That's right.
I've been in ministry for a while. I've taught and studied relationships for years. Even to this day, that's really kind of where I really push in at. But when you go into it, I say this now, that marriage is a classroom.
Absolutely. It's a
You've got
university.
to be willing to have ongoing education
Right.
in order to improve it, because
right.
it shows you your strengths, but it shows you your weaknesses.
Absolutely.
And you have to attack those when you see them.
Absolutely.
And at
Absolutely.
each stage is different. And I like to study. I'm big into mentorship. And, there's some people, they don't want to be mentored. I like to watch. And, I love Elder's relationship with her daughter-in-law. When I look at that, I said, Lord, send me one of them. Like, I said,
I've been praying that too.
I want
Right,
a daughter-in-law
right.
like
I've been
that.
praying that too.
That's
It's like,
right.
I don't want one that I'm fighting
right.
with, or because, I'm
Absolutely.
close to my son. He's a mama's
Absolutely.
boy. And
Me too.
I don't want
Me too.
nothing
Me
coming
too.
between me and my
That's
boy.
correct.
And I want
That's
to
right.
respect her,
Right.
respect her house. But I said, Lord, I know it's possible.
That it
I've
is.
seen it.
That's
And I
right.
said, I want that as well, because we have learned over the years that we don't want our kids to have to go through some of those journeys
Right.
that we
That's
went through,
correct. That's
because
right.
we didn't have the help in dating and mating and understanding. We had to do things by trial and error.
Right, right.
And we don't want them to have to do that.
No,
Exactly.
we were so blessed that my son, married Keisha, and even her parents are friends. We all vacation together. Now, that's really
That's
unheard of.
wonderful.
All of us go out, including her sister.
That's
so, he really married a great family. And Kimberly, who she's married, we've already, all of us, both sides, have vacation together.
See?
So
I mean, vacation together, staying in the same house
Wow.
Yes.
That's good.
for like a week.
Yeah. So,
God can do it.
yes,
Yeah,
he
he can do
can.
it.
So people
But that's
think
evidence
God
that he can do it.
Yeah.
You got to do more than pray, though.
Yeah.
You have to
Faith without
cultivate
works,
it.
right.
You got. The Bible
Absolutely.
says, Bishop, and you know this. It's to train up a child on the way it should go, right? So, what old school African American folks interpret that is take your kids to church.
Right.
When in reality,
Absolutely.
the original text that was written in says it this way: train up a child according to his way. And every child's way is different.
Right.
So you can't take a cookie cutter approach
Right.
to
No,
the
you
kids.
can't.
Right.
You got to
Wow, that's
find
good.
their
That's
way,
good.
Right.
That's
and you
good.
cultivate your parenting around that.
That's
and we've
good.
even said today, each child is different. Even within your same household, you've
Right.
got to take the time to study each of your children, and you're going
Yeah.
to raise them.
Yeah,
and
just like what they said.
Right.
Because
Absolutely.
I can look at Kimberly, and if I tell Kimberly I'm disappointed, she
it.
falls apart.
Right.
I told my son one day, I said, man, I'm just disappointed. He said, you live long enough, you'll get over it. I said, you will get over it, because I'm going to be me. Whoa,
Oh my goodness.
they are different.
Yeah, and I
That's
can
funny.
see that because
That's right.
I take you to get her hair done. I pay for that. I sit, I wait. I wonder what Daddy's gonna think.
Right.
And I said, she walk in the house, and the first thing she wants is her daddy
Right.
to notice
Give that
her hair
approval.
and compliment
Wow.
how
And I
she
got it
looks.
now, so I just got to
Wow.
go overboard with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But I'm glad that she's getting that love from her father,
You-
Absolutely.
so she won't have to go looking for it in other
Right.
places.
That's correct.
So we
Right.
do daddy-daughter days, Bishop.
Yeah.
And we haven't done one in a while, but we got one coming up here because I told her she'll see her mom and I go, and we don't go high-end restaurants that often.
Right.
But when we do, our getaway is like Ruth Chris, you know, places like that.
Right.
So she knows about it now.
Right,
So
right,
she's
That's
like,
right.
she's like, Dad, I want to go to Ruth Chris. I said, I tell you what I do. When you complete this sixth grade, your first year here at this school, you and I gonna dress up. We going to Ruth Chris. We gonna have a good time. So that's what we're gonna do.
Okay.
So- because I feel like just like she was talking about with the road trips and things that we do,
It's exposure.
you build
Yes.
memories too with your kids, and then
Absolutely.
you also build a sense of expectation of what
Right.
they need to expect. Maybe not
Absolutely.
early, but down
That's
the road.
right.
Right.
Oh, absolutely. Because even
Right.
as Kimberly was dating different guys, you know, they think, because in some cases she did date people who were privileged. I'll use that. And you know, they take her somewhere and they expected her to be all excited. And she's like, "I've been here. You've been here. Yeah, I've been here. I mean, you know, don't get it twisted. Don't think you're
Good.
doing
Right.
something that I owe you something for. Because
Right.
no, I've done this.
Absolutely.
So absolutely.
Yeah.
No, that is great. Well, we've had great conversation
Yes.
here. Yolanda says each child is different.
That's
Makia
right.
says wisdom is in the room today. Tony has said it's a great conversation. This family room, good stuff. Dolores says this is so good. A lot of people, we're laughing but learning, listening to you today. So it is great that individuals are understanding the power in talking about family.
Yes.
And we see so many bad things out there, especially about African American families, that we have strong black families.
We really
Yeah.
do.
Absolutely, we do.
And I have to tell you, Bishop, and we're going to get ready to wrap up, but I got to tell you that we have an incredible amount of respect for you and Elder.
Aw.
There are people that you know this, you know, you've been around doing this a long time, and there are people that you just kind of gravitate to when you meet them in ministry. The other people, I just go preach for them, do what I got to do. And,
Right,
you
right,
know what I
right,
mean?
right.
But you all have been a classic example in so many different areas, and that is one reason why we respect you all so much, from the family's perspective, to the finance perspective, to the ministry perspective, to the succession perspective.
Oh,
Wow.
yes.
To me, you guys are the total package.
Wow.
Wow.
And we really appreciate that.
Man, we appreciate you saying it. We appreciate that you've seen something in us.
Yeah,
that-
absolutely,
that has
absolutely.
even
Keep
pushed you
praying for us.
right. And we feel the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We feel the same. And I think you're right. From the day that we met, that's
That's
the best
true.
way to say it.
Yeah, it
You
is.
just meet some people and you're like,
I like them.
yeah.
I mean, you do. You just,
Yeah.
I just like
Yes.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've learned over the years to do our part to keep those divine connections.
Exactly.
Because there's something that God has in them that you need, and there's something that you may
Absolutely.
have that
That's
they
right.
need.
Everything in the universe is divine exchange.
Yeah.
It
Yes.
is. It really is.
Yes, and it takes work and effort.
It
Because
does.
there are times people, I love, like you say, you vacation with people and with couples and giving
Yeah.
yourself that balance in ministry. And that's powerful. And we need to do that more.
It really is. So I want to thank you all for being a part today. I know that we're going to have a great time with this. I'm going to go back and watch it and all of that. So I know the members are going to be blessed, and people that have chimed in on it. So thank you all so much. And I just want to say thank you all for being a part on today, wherever you're watching from, whatever platform that you're using, being a part of the family room. Make sure that you hang with us every Friday at 12 noon. Never know where we're going to show up at. Never know who's going to be with us. And we're going to have a good time. So continue to support the ministry, JRM, as we continue to try to build the family room and do great things that empowers families.
Yes, it's been a great day. We want to thank Elder Brown and Bishop Brown for being with us today. Pastor and I are looking forward to partying with the family this weekend to celebrate their princess getting married. Do not forget New Life Worship Center that we are in person for 9 and 12 noon. Also at the Mount, they are back in person. They started. What is your service times here at the Mount?
8 and 10. 8 a.m. and 10.
So yes, you can connect via virtual church, but there's something about when you go into this sanctuary. So Pastor Ramsey, could you close us out in prayer,
I'm going to close
please?
out in prayer to give you one more thing, and that is this. We got a special guest this weekend that you don't want to miss at New Life, Bishop Clint Brown from Orlando, Florida. He's no stranger, been coming to us for years, but it's been 2 years since we had a guest, so he's going to come in ready to set it off. So you make sure that you're either in person at the 9 or the 12. It's going to be a blessed time. Let's pray. Father, in Jesus' name, we thank you for Bishop and Elder today, and just their great wisdom that we all benefit from. We pray for those that might be out there today struggling in a family matter, whether it's parenting, whether it's the marriage itself, whether it's single parenting. You already know all about it, God, and I pray that you would just release your spirit into those situations and give them wisdom for every challenge and the power to overcome it. And we'll be certain to give you all the praise in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. God bless you. Thank you for joining us.
Be blessed. We'll catch you next week.
Bye.